yeah.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, how you doing?
My name is.
Okay.
Yeah, my name is Hirochika Nakakuki.
Oh, wow.
It's live?
Okay.
It's
yes,
live?
Yes, it's live. Baby.
Yeah.
Yes. How
Yeah.
excited are you?
Yeah.
You were so excited, right? Japan, right?
Excuse me.
Okay.
I cannot speak English, but I'm excited.
I love it! Yeah, baby!
Welcome back to Book Smart Life Dumb. Welcome to episode 18. I'm not feeling too hot today. Had a pretty rough night, and I think I might actually be getting sick, which sucks because over on the Twitch channel, we've started our TEXATHON. We are on day 2 today of the TEXATHON. With the lovely community over yonder has they came through. They're pulling through, and there's a lot of time left on that timer. And doing a subathon while balancing doing this show, balancing my work life. It's going to be a challenge, but I think everybody's going to be in for a good time. Let's talk about some big stuff, some big headlining things. Let's talk about, I don't know, how about the biggest sports event on the planet? Because it involves the entire planet. I, of course, am talking about the FIFA World Cup 2026, or as I like to call it, the Earthwide Soccer Tournament. It's interesting from an American point of view because it really wasn't like a popular sport. You know, soccer was or football, as you call it, football is geared towards, you know, something you do with like your kids. Like you have your little kids in the neighborhood and they all play in like a soccer team. And I definitely played soccer. I remember that. I remember very vividly getting a ball kicked into my face. And I also remember very vividly in middle school that happened to me too. The only difference being I don't think I was wearing glasses yet. When I was in like whatever you call it, little tykes, little guy, little soccer, little dudes running around, little dudes and dudettes running around soccer. I don't think I was wearing glasses yet because I didn't start wearing glasses until I was in the 1st grade. This I actually remember. This is a fun tangent. I remember this because I was sitting in 1st grade class and I was like looking at a book, and I learned and I realized in that moment that like you can like manually focus your eyeballs. You can manually sit there, and if you're looking at something, you can like unfocus, refocus, unfocus, refocus. But I as a kid, I was like, oh, like this is like I have to actively sit here and like focus on the page. If I relax, I can't read it. I was like, I think I need glasses, and so my parents took me to go get glasses, and they're like, yep, your kid's eyes are not perfect. You have not so perfect eyes. I've been wearing glasses and contacts ever since. How old are you in 1st grade? That minus 31 years is how long I've been doing the whole glasses thing. But I brought that up because I very much remember in middle school, I was wearing a pair of glasses when I got smoked by a soccer ball while I was playing goalie. We weren't even playing a game. We were like just doing a thing where you're all lined up and everybody's like taking a shot at getting in the goal, and you as a goalie are going to try and block all of it, which I don't know what that's about. I don't know what that's supposed to be. Is that supposed to train up a kid to like actually try and kick a ball into a goal? Is it supposed to train the goalie? Either way, I was the goalie and I hated it. I hated that. And man, like this is the hard part about trying to remember stuff from when you're younger. I can't remember if I was like fixated as the goalie for the entire line of kids, or if you would go and kick the ball, and then once you kick the ball, you go and replace the goalie spot for the next person. I can't remember that. Either way, I caught a soccer ball to the face at that point too, and that was just like my nose and my face like are stinging. I'm like, all of a sudden my sinuses are just completely filled. It's just the worst. I'm just taking a breather, and I'm like, not like the wind knocked out of you, but definitely having a hard time like breathing in that moment. It's definitely a traumatic experience, which makes me wonder, how the hell do I remember this? Maybe that's why I remember it, so I can remind myself, hey, never go be a goalie ever again. I might end up like that one guy in Ted Lasso that has to wear like the face mask, like the plastic covering on his face, because if it like breaks his nose or gets hit in the face with the ball, like he'll like get severely injured. That's a great show. I should when Mina's out here again, we should probably sit down and watch that. We're watching a lot of stuff. I'm taking her through watching the Mandalorian on Disney Plus right now because we went and we saw the Mandalorian and Grogu in theaters, which I'm going to be honest, I don't know why people say it's a bad movie. It's a different story than what you would want to tell in a television format. Therefore, the most appropriate format for telling said story is going to be 2 hours in a movie theater. I would have been upset if they broke up the Mandalorian and Grogu into like 1/3 of a season of that show, because I would have felt like it makes no sense. It's a story that starts from point A and ends at point B, completely encompassed in itself. You try to shoehorn that into an overarching entire narrative that you're going to try and tell over an entire season. It would make for a bad season in my mind, or it would make for a very forgettable part of that season because the overarching other 2/3 would probably tell a bit of a better story than one that you could tell in 2 hours. I digress. We're here to talk about the Earth-wide soccer tournament put on by the FIFA World Cup 2026 trademark. And I want to recap some matches from starting from Sunday. This would be starting from Sunday, June 14th. Would have been right just the weekend after we recorded the last episode of Booksmart. And also beforehand, I did the first Q&A episode and it was very late. It's up on Patreon now if you guys want to go listen to it. Really fun stuff. Really diving into like memories with me and my dad in that one. It's definitely worth a listen. I might even listen to it again. There's a fun picture of me and my papa when I was a young lad. Also, as I'm recording this, America is playing versus Australia. I'll get the score when we get to the bottom of this list. So on the 14th of June, we had, oh no, I'm going to have to pronounce countries I've either never read before or I've read very seldomly. And what I will put down is that this is a fun way for me to sit down and listen to and figure out how to pronounce these countries. It's just a fun like lingual like experiment, right? For me and my language and all the jumbled up rules that make up speaking American English. But okay, on Sunday, June 14th, we're looking at Australia won over this. I'm pretty confident that that's Turkey, but it's spelled differently. Now I have to go through. I'll go through and I'll make a correction later if I do. Germany winning over Curacao. Netherlands and Japan are tied. They played they had 2-2 against each other. The Ivory Coast, which I believe is Scotland, if I'm not wrong here, won out over Ecuador. And then Sweden won over Tunisia, playing 5-1. Look at that. Okay, and then Monday, Spain and Cabo Verde actually tied at 0-0. Interestingly enough, and that's an interesting thing for me in like soccer is because like it's a joke that they play on in Ted Lasso is about like how games can end with nobody scoring, whereas like in American sports, overtime is like, you know, it's across the board. As far as I know, I don't know a lot about like sports that occur in other countries. So it's interesting to see that. It doesn't like blow my mind like it does to them in the show. It doesn't like freak me out, but it's interesting. Actually, on Monday, every single game ended in a tie. So you had Spain versus Cabo Verde at 0-0. Belgium versus Egypt at 1-1. Saudi Arabia and Uruguay ending at 1-1. And Iran versus New Zealand ending in 2-2. Interestingly enough. Tuesday was not the same story. France won out over Senegal. Iraq lost to Norway 4-1. And Argentina versus Algeria. Argentina won out 3-0. And then we move on to Wednesday. Austria beat Jordan. Portugal and it's the DR Congo. Now I have to sit down and Google what the DR means. But they tied 1-1. England won out over Croatia. Ghana won out over Panama. Uzbekistan lost to Colombia. And then we had yesterday, being Thursday, Czechia versus South Africa was a tie at 1-1. Switzerland won out over Bosnia 4-1. Canada beat Qatar 6-0. And then Mexico beat South Korea 1-0. And we have today's games. So far, America, the United States of America, I should say, won out over Australia 2-0. Next up, we have Scotland, which means that I was wrong about the Ivory Coast. I'm so sorry. No, that's Ireland. I'm looking at the flag right now. It's literally right in front of me. The Ivory Coast is not Scotland, because Scotland is playing Morocco today at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Brazil is playing against Haiti at 8:30 tonight, and then Turkey versus Paraguay at 11. I could be making a complete ass out of myself with this stuff. It's just, I don't see it as like I'm such a dumb American. I don't know how to pronounce all these countries, and I don't know how all these countries exist. And there's like 200 and something different nations out there, and I live in one that's one country that's as big as Europe, with its own, my own education system, blah, 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 what have you, all that stuff. It's not that I don't want to know. It's just that it was never presented for me to learn in my path in the American English, not American English, the American education system. This stuff still interests me. And things like the World Cup I would hope, lead a lot of other people from a lot of different countries, not even just the United States, to want to learn more about all these different people that live on our globe. And there's a reason that this is, the biggest sport in the entire planet, is because the planet gets to play against itself. We talk about the World Series of baseball. That's just because Canada's also in it. So you can't call it, the United States, baseball league. I guess you could call it the North American Baseball League, but, what else is, you call the Super Bowl. It's just like, I think there was actually a term. It was like this, the Super Bowl, is just the United States. And I could go on and on about all different sports and all different manners of this, but this is, a sport that we can all come together and watch these teams. And this is obviously, it should be big for people living in the United States, because it's a country developed and made via immigration and being a melting pot. So you have a lot of people with a lot of different heritages here, right? I mean, like in the Cleveland area alone, like you would be interested, or I guess maybe some people might find it surprising to find that like we have a lot of like deep Eastern European heritage out here. But we also have a lot of people with heritage coming back to Central America, in Puerto Rico, just in the Cleveland area in itself, and that's not even to name all of the different bloodlines and heritages that live out this way. And so when you look at something like the World Cup, if you're not a first generation American, second gen, third generation American, or even if you are, you get to look back at your countries of origin, where your families and your last names come from, and you can also root for them, or you could root for your home country, which seems to be doing pretty all right, given, them playing against Australia today. And you have a lot of different paths that you can go there. I, for one, am going to be keeping a distant eye on it, because I just have such a hard time following sports. I like baseball. I like football. These are like my two like American sports that I like, but I don't even get to sit down and watch them half the time. I'm probably the fakest fan in sports. But yeah, the World Cup, man, the Earthwide soccer tournament. Look at us go. Other than that, I'm not feeling too good. I started to come down with a bit of an illness last night, so I may actually have to just put out a shorter one for you guys today, but kind of like recapping the World Cup and the scores, and there's like, a few tangents that kind of like popped into my head. May have to do it. I do remember though, like the first time that I ever like, I guess consciously thought about the World Cup was when actually like, I remember waking up late in the night to get like a glass of water from the kitchen. And my mom was awake, and she was sat there watching one of the games like way early in the morning, because we had lived in Hawaii at the time, which is 7 hours off from Eastern Standard Time. And so it like we would watch like the Super Bowl at like 3 in the afternoon, or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, depending on daylight savings and whatnot. So she had to be up late to catch these games and watch these games. And that's kind of like the first time I consciously like recognized like some level of importance to FIFA and the World Cup. It's just seeing that and seeing like that the people were dedicated to watching these games outside of their time zones whenever they can make it work, right? It's cool stuff. It's cool stuff to see. I remember I get that way about the 24-hour races that happen. I get about that when it comes to some esports events. I used to be really big into watching Counter-Strike esports, you know, and I used to sneak my phones like hidden away so I could watch the majors, because those were like my Super Bowls every year, and those were so fun. Or I guess twice a year, and those are always super fun to watch. So I get it. I understand. I be an understanding member of sports enjoyment. And that is actually where I'll leave you for today. Next week, we'll see if we're still riding the TEXATHON high. We're still on it. I'm going to go get some tea. I'm going to try and rest my voice. Maybe even sneak in a little nap. Who knows? I don't know. But what I do know is that I hope you had an amazing week that led up to this episode. If not, let's use the weekend to turn it around and have a better week next week, okay? All right. Bye-bye.